Hi everybody, Michelle McClunan here, and I'm coming to you with an update on the astrology for the week because this is quite a big week in astrology. We have a full moon in Aries on the 1st and a whole lot of other stuff as well happening simultaneously. So I'm going to do my best to describe the energies as I see them and feel them, and also to give you a few tools and tips to navigate them. So every month we have a full moon, and a full moon is always a time of culmination when things tend to come to a head. It's a time for release, but it's often a time when things get quite intense. Now that's just any full moon. This one is not just any full moon. This one is in Aries, which is opposite the sun in Libra. Aries is a very fiery sign. It's what we call a cardinal fire sign. So it's full of vim and vigor, wants to get moving, wants to continue, wants to move forward, and is quite impatient in order to do that. It's also quite passionate and quite vocal and assertive. Now that's the full moon, which is in Aries. Whenever we look at a lunation like this or any other astrological alignment, we look to see what the ruler is doing. So we look to see what the ruler of the full moon is. So the ruler of Aries is Mars. And therein lies all the clues that we need. Because Mars is right now retrograde, which I spoke about or wrote about a couple of weeks ago, in the sign of Aries. And it's going to have quite a long cycle. So usually Mars spends a few months in a sign. This time it's spending 6 months in the sign of Aries, which it rules. Okay, so Mars is the ruler of this full moon. Today it's actually square Saturn, which I'm also going to explain. So what are those two energies? Well, Mars, first of all, is the warrior energy. Mars in Aries makes it more powerful. I, the individual, me, what I need, my rights, my humanness, my sovereignty, my freedom, my ability to speak independently, think independently, have freedom of action. That's Mars, and that's Aries, okay? So it's a very independent seeking, freedom seeking, very vibrant, can be violent, impulsive, can be arrogant, can be assertive, or anyway from assertive to aggressive. Okay, so that's Mars and Aries. None of it's bad. It just, that's the way it is. So it's fiery, it's big energy. Okay, being in Aries, it's opposite the sun, which is in Libra. So where's the sun? The sun's in Libra. What is Libra? Libra is about balance. Libra is about harmony, peace, love. So when we have a full moon, Aries, Libra, on that axis, there's that already there's a polarity, which is basically me or you, my needs or the needs of everybody, the other, my freedom and your desires and your wants. So it's usually quite a strong relationship axis as well, where issues from relationships come out into the open, because Libra is the sign that rules relationships, one of them. So it can be a time when the heat kind of rises in relationships. So it's a very strong time to see the mirror in somebody else. What is that person mirroring in you? So rather than seeing them as, you're making me angry, you're pressing a button, which I have inside me, of anger. How am I going to respond to that? I can respond with anger, or I can respond in another way. So just look at the mirrors in the next week or so, because they're going to be big. Now, to sort of add a little bit of fuel to this, we have Mars in a square to the Capricorn planets that have been transiting all year: Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. And right now we have Mars in a square to Saturn. So Mars is that forward energy that I've just described. Saturn rules things like governments, institutions, laws, rules. So you're getting the gist of what I'm saying. It's me against the institutions. It's my will as opposed to the collective authoritarian will. So there's sort of that feeling of, but I want to move forward, but I can't. Or I want freedom of speech, but I can't have freedom of speech. So Mars and Saturn, when they're in a connection like they are at the moment, always feels a little bit like a handbrake. It's sort of stop, go, move forward, come back. So it's a frustrating energy, and it can give rise to a lot of protests. A lot of people say, no, enough now. We've had enough. We're going to protest, which is happening all over the world. So I think we just need to know that that isn't over. We're still very much in the birth canal of the old that's busy dying out. And we're in the end of a cycle. It's like the end of a karmic cycle that we are in. And endings are never easy. They're a little bit messy and they're a little bit scary because we don't know what's next. On the other hand, there's a sort of an excitement or an anticipation of something new arising from these ashes. So that's the good. And we always have a choice as to what we're going to focus on. So this is all happening at the moment, right now. Saturn has also turned direct. He's been retrograde since May, and he's now turned direct, which actually means that he's separating from Pluto, which is the Pluto-Saturn conjunction, or when they came together. That is what sort of ushered in this global challenge and change that we're experiencing. So Saturn's actually moving away from Pluto now, which should ease things a little bit because he's moving away and he's basically going to take another few months to move out of the sign of Capricorn. Saturn's been in Capricorn since 2017, since December 2017. And when it's in Capricorn, this is what sort of has been paving the way for this huge change. So Saturn is the planet of karma. He's a planet of time, he's a planet of lessons. So whenever we have a transit that connects with Saturn, it's a time to reassess, a time to look at our structures, a time to look at our foundations, a time to see what's working, what's not working, what needs to shift. And really globally, what's happened in the last year is Saturn has come into this conjunction with Pluto, which is basically about the collapse of the old so that something else can be reborn, which is this karmic cycle. So we've basically got until the end of December to clear what we need to clear from this cycle. Obviously, there are always cycles going, but from this cycle. So this could bring stuff up to the surface that began in December 2017. For those of us born between 1959 and 1961, that was when Saturn was in Capricorn. And so we will be experiencing our Saturn return over the 3 years when Saturn's in Capricorn. And also the same for people born between 1988 and 1991. And the Saturn return is really like a grow up time. It's a time when we take full responsibility. So I see this as a time when we're called on to take responsibility for our own reactions, for our own responses, for what we're doing in the world, from where we're putting our energy, from what we're feeding. That's what this is really about for me. Now, the other thing that's happening with this full moon is the moon is right next to Chiron, which is the wounded healer. Now, I sort of liken Chiron to the pain body, that part of us that gets triggered, that part of us that, we can be happily sailing along and suddenly somebody says something to us and the button gets pressed and we just react. Now, because the moon is so close to Chiron, that could be happening over the next few days. So just be aware of it and be aware with, if you do have a pain body trigger, of how to react, how to respond. So it's always better to respond. And to do that, we need to take ourselves out of the drama, out of the fire. So I just see this as a very balancing It's a potential to really balance our energy, our karma. Because what is karma? Karma is actually balance. And so the universe is always trying to balance itself, and we're always trying to balance ourselves. And this is one of those balance points. So an image that comes to me that we've been working a lot with on our course and with our coaching is the wheel. If you're on the outside of the wheel, at the moment, with all this energy, it's big energy. There's a good chance that you're going to spin out and react rather than respond. So what do? We go into the middle of the wheel. Right in the center of the wheel is the stillness. Right in the center of the wheel, we become the witness to everything else, but we're not caught up in it, going around and around. We're still in the middle. That's the balance point. And that's what this full moon's saying, because Libra is about balance. And Libra is saying, okay, find the balance in the center of the wheel. Don't get caught up in the drama. Don't get caught up in the chaos that might be surrounding you or us globally. I think there's going to be more of this over the next couple of months. And we've just got to ask ourselves, is fighting the answer? In any situation, in a personal situation, you might have an issue. Is it worth going to war over or not? Asking yourself what you really want. Do you want peace? If you want peace, then is it worth going to war? And what are we feeding? Because I think that we are all, those of us who are kind of conscious and awakening, I think that we are part of the light holders, if you want to call it that this world really, really needs light right now, needs love, needs compassion, needs unity. And so I think our responsibility as people who might know about this is to hold that as a vibration, is to hold that as our focus. Aries is all about intention. Intend to set your focus on love, on peace, on unity, as opposed to going to war. And that we find in ourselves. It's not from the outside. So yes, the outside's triggering all sorts of stuff for all of us on one level or another. Most of us are shifting because this is the end of a cycle and we're shifting into a new one, which is really exciting. And I think that we've got the opportunity to be part of what that's going to look like. So if the new is going to be like the old, it isn't a pretty picture. But we have the chance and the choice and the opportunity to be part of shifting it into another dimension. So it's all quite exciting. Just remember to stop, feel whatever you feel. If there is a trigger, take a deep breath, step away from it. Connect with what you're feeling, with what it's bringing out for you, what you're being squeezed to actually work with. Chiron, the wounded healer, is the wounded healer. We heal through acknowledging our sore points and our wounds and our pain bodies. We heal through that because we can see it. We can say, oh, yes, this is triggering an old fear that's been sitting underneath the surface for all this time. And now I can actually process it. And I can shine light on it and love to it and love myself through it. So at any moment when you feel overcome or overwhelmed, you can always use the tapping technique. There's lots on that on the internet. Just Google tapping solution. And one of the best things with that is to tap in terms of you basically realigning and reprogramming. So at any one moment where you feel overwhelmed, to just stop, breathe, bring yourself into the middle of the circle. And what you can do as well is you can say, even though I feel this way, whether it's fearful, anxious, angry, sad, I deeply love and approve of myself. And when you do the tapping, you tap as you're saying that. So have a look on the web. You'll find lots of videos on how to do it. So that's me for now. If you'd like to see how this is playing out in your chart, you're obviously welcome to contact me to set up a session, especially the Saturn thing, because we've got a kind of a finite amount of time to actually clear these issues before Saturn moves on and out, and we're moving into this new reality. So we want to clear, we want to weed out our fields. And the last thing is that John and I are launching another Journey to Freedom course. We're getting amazing feedback from our first 3. We're running our 3rd one now, and we're starting another one on the 1st of October, which starts with a Zoom call on the 1st of October, which you're welcome to join for free. And then you can get a sense that the full journey is 13 weeks. And in that time, you really get a chance to absorb the teachings and the experiences, because you actually get time to practice it. And this is where we're finding the shifts happening for people. There's also a very strong community feel and community support, which people are reporting back on, saying it's so valid in these times. So we really encourage you to join us. You can have a look at our website, which is journeysofawakening.com, and register for free for the first week. There's no charge. You don't have to put your bank details in, and you'll get an email describing and giving you all the details. So please join us. It's a really good journey, and we're really enjoying being in community and moving through this with other people that are on a similar page to us. We invite you to join us. Take care of yourself. Love yourself. You are loved. We got this. We're getting through this, and we're going to come out the other side stronger and more resilient. Lots of love.